So, as I've grown older, I've had to consider, well, I guess the usual that kind of comes with growing up and venturing into adulthood. Things like rent or gas or food or savings, investments, and other utilities are just some of the items that are kind of like on the forefront of thought as of recent, especially if I ever just plan on just living on my own. Uh, and in this day and age, where it feels like everything's getting more and more expensive, while some jobs aren't exactly meeting the demands to pay a decent living wage, it can kind of become pretty easy to constantly feel the weight and worry of how exactly I'm just going to be able to handle it all. Is this the point in life where I begin my journey to venture for a glucose mother? Heck, I don't even know how on earth people make it work when you add kids into the equation. Because, I mean, like, at least if you're married, you've got two incomes to rely on, so... Wait a second. Plan formulating, idea marinating? Ooh! What if you were married, but you had no kids?
Ooh. Hey, yo, this guy's spitting. Don't stop the video now.
Yes. Enter the concept of the DINK. And no, I'm not necessarily talking about this guy, although he might still kind of fit the puzzle of this characteristic, but more on that later. At least for now, let's gather a definition. Because what the is a DINK? Honestly, like, if you asked me and I didn't know the definition, like, no idea, just going in there, I would probably think that for some reason you were insulting me. Cause like, seriously, like, think about this. Look at this. Look at this DINK. This is Dinkelberg. I don't even know what that means. But does that not sound insulting to you? Anyways, a DINK. A DINK is defined as a household in which there are two incomes and no children. Zero. And, I mean, at its core, a DINK encompasses like a large variety of people, though it usually kind of refers to some sort of married couple with no children. Though there are kind of like typically synonymous with folks living a wealthier lifestyle. So just for like the purpose of this video, the term DINK will be used with this relationship dynamic in mind. So those who fall into this category are more often than not cited to have more disposable income, specifically due to their lack of children. Now, of course, there could still be other factors to consider when looking at couples who fall under the term of a DINK and what contributes to their overall earnings and disposable income. Things kind of like race or sexuality or location, jobs prospects, etc. But for the most part, DINKs do usually see rather favorable financial and overall life outlooks. Gone are the fears and worries of needing to provide food or clothing or even school supplies for your offspring, as DINKs may have the leisure to instead focus their finances more towards themselves for, savings, investing, smaller housing purchases, at least since rooms for children need not to really be considered, and more. These couples are also often the target of marketing efforts for investment products, travel, and even luxury items. Maybe I should go find a rich tech bro to go marry. In general, we can say that there's just been an uptick in the amount of people that fall under the category of a DINK. At least according to Census Bureau data, from the years of 1976 to 2016, the number of adults living without kids has increased from 52.5% to 71.3%. It also helps that there's been less stigma created around the idea of choosing to be child-free. But don't let that fool you though, because it definitely has not stopped people on Twitter from typing out their hot takes to try and shame those who decide to live such a life. Rumor has it that a ratio is not too far from these posts. Some things can even likely be classified as happier and more satisfied with their lives, as generally married couples are sometimes cited to be happier. Although studies do kind of show that these couples were often happier individuals before getting married, so they kind of end up being jovial mates, a confounding factor to consider. Hearing these traits may paint a picture of a particular character for some of you, They're always so cheerful, and their lives seem so amazing and carefree, and they just might be the best neighbors that anyone could ever ask for. You guessed it. Of course, I'm referring to...
Oh, Timmy! I'm respecting your privacy by knocking, but asserting my authority as your father by coming in anyway!
Hey, how did I get here? No, not that guy. Them! Honestly, I was more recently introduced to the concept of a DINK, so growing up and watching this show, I never actually even realized that the Dinkelbergs were supposed to be like representing a certain lifestyle. But it's always great to see them. It was always so amazing to see them on screen. Anyways, back to the main point. At least here in the United States, trends also do seem to describe a decline in birth rates from couples, whether it be choosing to have their first child later in life or to just not have children at all, which can both be attributed to a multitude of reasons, including increased education, job opportunities, and higher standards of living, specifically for women, just being some of the reasons claimed to be a contributor. Yet another term, DINKY, standing for dual income, no kids yet, can better describe couples, specifically women who do choose to put off having kids until later in life. As of 2019, the median age for first-time mothers has increased to a record high of 27 years old. As Christine Percheski, Associate Professor of Sociology at Northwestern University, puts it, the declining birth rate is about women having access to education and employment opportunities. It's about the rise in individualism. It's about the rise in women's autonomy and a change in values. More couples have even reported wanting to not have children due to growing concerns surrounding worrying economic stability, climate change, and the pandemic. During times of economic hardships and health risks, birth rates are often seen to decrease. The reported cost of raising a child also is cited to be a reason for some couples to want to stay child-free. The U.S. Department of Agriculture actually estimates the cost of childcare to be around $233,610. That is a scary number to me. Unless it's ever indicative of how much money I stand to make from an employer. It'd probably be taxed. Anyways, that number does not consider a child's tuition, assuming that they go to college right after high school. Plus, in general, having a child is a lifelong responsibility, and there is a ton that couples need to consider before planning to even have one. Just because your kid or children turn 18 doesn't mean you're just magically revoked of your parenting license. Also, just as important, if not more, is the time that it takes to care for children. Time and money invested into childcare may change, though, after said children are able to move from their parents, which could put parents in a category known as empty nester dinks. To provide some insight on the outlook of the dink lifestyle by newer generations, a study on 1,024 Gen Zers found that about 1 out of 4 of them do expect to live the dink lifestyle, with more than a fourth of respondents stating their preference for just not having children. This particular study also aimed to understand the generation's goals pertaining to finances and having children, and even what a fulfilling life meant to them. Questions were asked such as what life goals were most important to them, reasons for just not wanting children, where Gen Zers plan on focusing future finances towards, and even uncovering what activities they believed would be fulfilling to their lives. Findings in this study noted that the vast majority of Gen Zers care to prioritize their finances and mental health, about 98 and 97% respectively, and deemed them as much more important life goals than having or adopting children, of which about 52% deemed important. The top 10 reasons cited in the study as to why respondents did not want children range from enjoying the flexibility of not having them and the financial investments to protecting their mental health and viewing them as individuals instead of something to maybe enhance themselves. But so for the most part, the population of Generation Z appears to hold much more value in becoming financially stable and improving their mental well-being, and I mean, who wouldn't? At least contrary to some of the beliefs held by some. So there you have it, folks. Looking at it from the list of all these pros, it definitely seems like the dinks of the world are living the sweet life. I mean, come on. Look, I mean, couples can potentially stand to save a lot from this lifestyle and reorganize their priorities, though don't take this all as me just completely knocking off the idea of having children, especially if that's what you want for your future. Also, just like I said earlier, not all dinks are exactly created equal. Racial and gender pay gaps in the workforce, for example, can still kind of play a factor when you're considering any sort of socio-economic lifestyle. For example, same-sex male childless couples may currently stand to see more financial benefit than their same-sex female or heterosexual counterparts. Also, living in areas known to have higher costs of living is another example that may strongly affect the finances of your dinks. But to offset this, some people may look to marry much later in life when they've kind of achieved that certain financial status or life goal that they've been aiming for. Also, I do know that I spoke much to the financial benefit that dinks couples tend to display, but marriage also isn't some sort of like random elixir to financial troubles, so I'm not going to encourage someone marrying just for the money. But hey, look, in the end, choosing to have children is up to the individual and can definitely end up being a thing of beauty, at least from what I've heard. Of course, raising a child is no small task, and I think it should be discussed beforehand, at least before if the couples want that for their future. If it's having children of your own or choosing to adopt, parenthood can bring upon this grand journey of ups and downs. My hope would at least be to just see a generation of kids with a bright future, because what more could a parent ask for than for their child to live and grow up better than them? Alright everyone, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I mean, if you liked it, cool. If you didn't, if you have any input to add, then please join the conversation down below in the comment section. And yeah, I hope to see you all next time. So those who fall into this category, I really hope that's... Oh, it's recording. Alright, cool. I'm gonna stop it because it's just kind of awkward. Alright.